Welcome to Liberate University. Liberate University is free educational content released for the benefit and enjoyment of all. Many thanks to our gracious family of world-class practitioners for sharing their work.
Hi there, welcome to another episode of Liberate University. Today I want to talk a little bit about currency and the global economy, the economy of the United States. Yes, I'm not an economist. However, I am a multiple entrepreneur and I study and look at the different states of the world. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that I see a global collapse going on all around, and that, we keep on just printing money, but there's nothing that bases it. And so we're really driving the inflation up through the roof. And to the point of, is this bubble going to pop completely? And are we going to have to rebuild a new currency? And how do we look at that? And the way in which we've related to money in the past might not be the way that we relate to money in the future. Okay. And what do I exactly mean by that? There's been a lot of inflation going on in companies. You see that, let's look at the tech bubble, for instance, is you have these massive evaluations for companies that showed little to no profit and sometimes even negative revenue every year. And yet they were valued at billions of dollars, but they couldn't substantiate that amount of value to what they were actually bringing in monetarily. And you had the drive up of housing prices. You had, other stocks and other companies going through the roof. But, it was all based on this very fragile kind of economic system that our debt actually was growing at 2 times our revenue each year. 2 times more. So from 2008 to now, the amount of money we printed was just astronomical. It was just all the way up, and we weren't growing. Our gross domestic product wasn't growing at the same rate. We have nothing to base it. Since 1971, we have been off the gold standard. And so what does that exactly mean? That there's nothing that is bearing, our money is literally valueless. There is no value. There is no gold that is backing it. There's none of this other stuff behind it. And yet what is happening is we just keep on printing out bailout money. But what is that doing? That's causing the price of what you have in your pocket to go way down. And it hasn't drastically dipped before, but I really think that it's going to. I think that a $100 bill is going to be worth at least a minimum of 20% less buying power. We've been printing about $2 trillion a day for the bank bailouts. That isn't even talking about, on top of the $2.2 trillion stimulus package that went out. And so this is just massive amounts of money that is printed with no backing, okay? And so what does that mean? If you have $100,000 in your bank account, it's pretty soon going to be worth only $80,000 as far as buying power, or the price of goods and different things are going to have to rise, and making it where what you're buying and what you're putting out, you have to spend a lot more money to get the same item, right? And so what is this all about? Okay, every fiat currency, so what we have in America and what all the countries actually in the world have right now, since we went off the gold standard in 1971, is something called a fiat currency. A fiat currency is really a currency that isn't backed by anything. Okay, so it has no intrinsic value other than the value that we say that it has, okay? And through history, every fiat currency that has ever been has fallen and turned into nothing, right? And there's a lot of kind of speculation and talk out there that maybe our currency and our dollar is going to go to that too, as well as some of the other currencies that are in the world. And we had such a fragile global economy and individual countries' economies. And now with everything being on lockdown internationally, you're going to see that there could be a very likely possibility that we reinvent a currency system in the next few years, that the way that we have it isn't going to be valuable anymore. So what does that mean for you? Well, that means that it's time to look at hard assets, okay? Now, I know that many of you maybe don't own hard assets or have the ability to go out and purchase them right now, but I want you to think as you're making money and as you're doing things and what hard assets you could. If you do have any money invested in different things, it's how do you think about moving some of that around, right? And what is a hard asset? Hard assets are precious metals like gold and silver. You can go to any bank and for $20, you can get a coin. And you can allow yourself to go get a silver coin for $20. And I forget what the value of a gold coin is, but you can go in and you can buy these and you can actually sit on them. And those coins, okay, so if you have $100 and with the inflation and everything that's going on, pretty soon that $100 might only be worth $50. But if you have these gold coins that today are worth $100 in value, you're going to see that those gold coins or silver coins rise in value, where this dollar bill or $100 bill drops in value, okay? So these coins in a couple of years could be worth $150, but this $100 bill in a couple of years could be worth $50. So you see the difference, okay? So that's one way of why a lot of people say you should be investing in gold and silver. You should be trying to convert your cash into gold and silver because it will hold its value and its worth. And even if that's just $100 worth, $1,000 worth, whatever the case. But that precious metals are going to continue to rise where the printed paper bills are going to continue to drop, okay? Now, other hard assets are things that we're always going to have, right? And whether if you're looking at houses, land, real estate, all of that, really good. We're always going to need a home to live in. We're always going to need that structure and that solid foundation. Other things to think about is companies that make things that are necessities. You've seen the skyrocketness of toilet paper and Purell and all of these other things. But when you look at the staples of life, those companies and those products are always going to have intrinsic value. So if you are investing and you're moving some of your money in the stock market to some of those like solid investments and assets. Now, I want everybody to be prepared that things are going to shake a little bit. Things are going to be different, and we're going to see tremendous change that is going to happen. We've never seen anything quite like this. I mean, in a few weeks period of time, over 16 million Americans filed for unemployment, okay? When you think about it, there's only 320 million Americans that's our population. And if you cut that in half, because you got to think a lot of people are either retired or still adolescent and not working. So if you cut that 320 million in half, you're looking at roughly 160 million people, okay? And 16 million people filing for unemployment. That's 10% of the working population filed for unemployment in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 10% unemployed, okay? And that number is only going to shoot up. And you got to think about in the Great Depression, we had a 20% unemployment rate. I think we're going to surpass that because the 16 million people that filed for unemployment, that 10% of the population are on top of whatever the population was that was already unemployed. And there's still a lot more unemployment yet to come. Okay. So I think that we're going to roughly teeter around the 30% unemployment range. And that's going to be a really big hold on. Our economy has crashed. Okay. And it's already crashing. It's falling down everywhere. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of steps and resources are done to make it recover. But I really don't believe that just printing money that's based on nothing is the answer. It's like they just print more, and then there's so much more money in circulation. So anybody that had any values or assets, boom, they're going to fall down, right? You're going to see things that are probably going to be worse than the 2008 housing crash where, property values plummeted over 20%. You're going to see stuff that's worse than that. And, So I want to, this isn't a video of doom and gloom. I just wanted people to start to think outside of the box. And when you're making those types of savings or investments, or you're thinking about money, I just want you to think ahead of the curve so that you can navigate a new currency system when it's implemented. You can navigate a new way of relating to money when it's implemented, and you can be on top of things instead of just a victim to whatever the circumstances unfold to be. I really think that you should kind of look into educating yourself more on the economics, on the fact that we had such a fragile fiat currency that I really think just went, it's gone, you know? I wouldn't be surprised if we create something completely different, if we go back to some kind of gold and silver backing currency. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they do the distribution of wealth and where they value things. But I don't think that we can continue to go on in the same way that we've been going on. It just doesn't work. It's a broken system that has no basis or value. And so I want you to think about things like that. Think about how you can move some of your money maybe over to some of those harder assets. And when you are earning money, because this is going to be a change over time. So when you start working again, or you're earning money and things like that, think about the more safer investments or places that you can put your money that are in those hard assets, that are real estate and land, that are in that, you know, maybe not having so much money in, I don't know, different types of inflated tech businesses, maybe pulling that capital out of the stock market and saying, I'm going to buy a rental unit instead, in, you know, a middle class neighborhood or wherever you want to do, or a distressed area that you can renovate the property and you know that you can always get it rented. You know, the high-end rentals might not do you really good, because if the value goes, how many tenants is your pool? But if you have like the ones that a lot more people can afford, you know that you're constantly going to have occupancy and rental income coming in. So I just want you to think about these different aspects and really start to play with your future and what you're seeing, because, you know, we seen it in 2008, everybody's pensions and retirement funds literally disappeared. You know, they were all stolen. And so, and now, you know, you see what's happening today. And I think that we really need to look at how you can protect yourself for the future and how you can allow yourself to transition through this currency change, is what I'm calling it. Doesn't have to be a whole tragedy if you're prepared. Thank you so much. Till next time.
Thank you for being a part of this class. We hope to see you at the next one.